morning. We're here with Mike Beers. It's August 23rd, 2025, and Mike is about to be inducted into the Ellensburg Rodeo Hall of Fame this evening. Mike, glad to have you.
Oh, and nice to be here. What a great honor.
Yes. Yeah. For the record, give us your full name, birth date, and place
Michael
of birth.
Eugene Beers. Birthplace is the Dalles, Oregon. I was born 1958, May 4th. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your family.
So my dad was a restaurant owner. He owned Jack's Fine Foods there in Biggs Junction, and my mom was a waitress. In 1968, my dad decided to build an indoor arena. My dad had never been on a horse. My mom had never been on a horse, and they decided he wanted to build this indoor arena and start putting on functions there, because in the wintertime, we had no business through the restaurant and the mini market and the gas stations. So we needed something to bring business in. So my dad built a restaurant. And when I was 7 years old, he bought me a Shetland pony. Since I was a little kid, I wanted to be a cowboy.
Huh.
And I got 3 brothers and none of them ride.
Yeah.
I was the only one. And so when I was 7, he bought me a 2-year-old Shetland pony. And I learned to ride my Shetland pony down to Cherry Blossom Trailer Court where Charlie Brown lived. And he had an arena there. And I learned to rope the bucket and started roping from there, and that's kind of how I got started. I have the 3 brothers. My oldest brother, Jackie, was a 4-time state champion wrestler, and he passed away with Lou Gehrig's disease at 67. And my youngest brother, Matt, he died at 58. He went diabetic coma.
Oh, dang.
And so there's 2 of us left. My brother, Pat, is a couple years older than me. And then I have 2 boys, Brandon and Joe. Brandon, kind of one of my big success stories in rodeo was making the national finals with Brandon in 2007. And then I have a youngest boy, Joe. He ropes. He runs a ranch in Oregon for a guy over there. So yeah, so it's been good. I moved to Kamloops, British Columbia about 12 years ago. Retired pretty much from roping, rodeo. I still do a lot of clinics. I've done clinics my whole life. I went to my first clinic when I was 9 years old. I taught my first one when I was 14.
Who was the clinic you went to when you were 9?
Jimmy Rodriguez.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a world champion team roper at the time.
Well, that was one thing I was wondering. So you'd have been about 10 when Jack built the indoor.
Yeah.
I understand the business model part of it, but how much of it was finding a place for you to rope or build?
Well, you know what? Then a guy named Jim Inman, you remember Dave Inman, Tommy, and Jim Inman was a calf roper from Nowata, Oklahoma. Then he come up there and run my dad's arena for him. My dad didn't know nothing about it. He built this indoor arena, and he hired guys to run it.
So this is Claude's brother?
Yeah, Claude's brother, yeah. He was a calf roper and came up here and run my dad's arena for 2 or 3 years. And then he had some different guys. A guy named Wayne Klein run it for a while, a guy named Tommy Norton, and then a guy named Doug Wimpson run it for a while. And but yeah, it was. And nowadays it's a storage unit for RVs and boats.
I drove up by there a few summers ago trying to find it, and that's what it seemed like.
Yeah, it's up on the top of the hill there. I mean, it's a gorgeous place. We got indoor and outdoor arena, and it's funny because back to Brent Palmer got inducted this year, and him and I have been close. We've been friends for almost 60 years. He lived just across the river from us, and we put on the first USTRC ropings there in the 90s, indoor arena there. And back then, I mean, team roping was almost dead back at the time. And I still run into people nowadays from Canada that came down to the roping in the 90s. And we actually give out numbers at the door. And the first rope we had a number 6 roping, and we had like 160 teams, which was unheard of. And the next rope was a number 8, and we had 400 teams. We didn't get done until like 3 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, I mean, we've been great friends forever.
Huh.
Yeah.
Who was running the numbers system?
Denny Gentry and Gary Fortress, who at the time, they're the ones that started this. I met them in Reno, and they said, we're going to put numbers on guys accordingly to their caliber of roping. And back then, you had your open guys and you had your novice.
Seemed like Pat Honeycutt, didn't she do
she was
Money One deal?
She had the ATRA. She started the ATRA deal in California and it's still going even today.
Oh, man.
And they have their finals in Reno, and it's really successful. But the USTRC, they did theirs, and then Egypt went off from there to the World Series, and kind of ending story after that.
Well, this is fun to learn. Your careers paralleled the explosion in team roping.
Yeah,
Really.
my wife and I would talk. I'm gonna write a book. I'm gonna write a book, and it started with the team roping. You know how it started when I started. You know, I remember going to Texas in the 80s, early or 70s, late 70s, and they were tied on at both ends.
Wow.
Heading and heeling. So I've got to see it change a lot. But
yeah.
Anyways, but the rodeo deal has been great. You know, I've been really lucky. I'm from the Northwest, and like we was talking earlier, you know, the Northwest rodeos they stand out, and especially this time of year when the fall comes, when everybody takes their straw hats off and puts their felt hats on. They know the Northwest rodeos are in effect, and that's when Ellensburg and Pendleton and Puyallup, all those rodeos, you know. Then there's a big thing, you know. Years ago, I remember Dee and I, I really focused on the Northwest, the Columbia River Circuit, and I think I won 31 circuit titles, and I spent, you know, I'd go to rodeos here instead of other rodeos just because they were in my circuit.
Okay.
And the Ellensburg Rodeo was one of the ones. If you could get an Ellensburg buckle, it's like Ellensburg, Pendleton, Cheyenne, Salinas, those buckles, you can see them from 2 blocks away.
People know.
People know, you know, and it's an honor to have one of those buckles. And, you know, the Ellensburg Rodeo has been so successful. You know, I mean, I'm like I said, I remember coming here when I first started, and you see this, you know, great big grandstands and the whole facilities here. And when we first come, I mean, we parked over there by the U-Totem.
Okay.
You know, that's where everybody partied.
Yeah.
You had to get here early, get that parking spot, you know. And then, you know, the Ellensburg, the committee here is great. And yeah, I was the director for the PRJ for 6 years. And you realize not just being a contestant, but being a director for these rodeos like this is how much people are involved in their rodeo. You know, they live that rodeo all year long.
Yeah.
To promote it for that week that the rodeo's in town. You know, and you could not afford to pay these people what they deserve because the time and effort they put into it.
Oh, holy cow! Yeah.
You know, and it's like this deal here that they started. You know, I was inducted. I guess my first induction was to St. Paul, and then I got inducted to the Pendleton Hall of Fame, and then the PRC Hall of Fame, and then now this one here. I mean, and these are rodeos that are icons in my world. You know, and to be inducted to them, it makes you feel like, you know, I was looking around, seeing a deal of Monty Montana, different guys that are inducted here. You know, it's just a neat honor to be inducted with them.
Well, and like you say, the community's all in.
Oh yeah, I mean, everywhere you got, got up. I'm an early bird. I got up early this morning, walking around. My grandson and my wife are staying in the room, and I'm walking. I got a little wiener dog, a 6-month-old wiener dog, walking him around, and you just walk around. Every store you go to has got the Ellensburg poster in it. The whole town is ready for the rodeo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You shared with us your folks had no involvement in rodeo, and you brought up a name from our past, Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
His dad roped.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
And so he lived there in Rufus.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of where I got my start.
Yeah.
I remember riding my Shetland pony down there, and I remember him teaching me how to rope a silver bucket.
Okay.
That's what I learned to rope. Yeah. It was a silver bucket, and then his son, Little Charlie, and I both. He had a horse called Stubby,
Okay.
and we'd have our ponies together, and we'd be roping these dummies with just sawhorses with cow heads on them.
Okay.
No rawhide covered like
No
they
Smarty.
have now.
With
No
a mat.
Smarty, no heel mat.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what we had. And then we had this metal 50-gallon barrel on legs with a head on it, and we'd sit on that and we'd rope the dummy. And that's kind of that's how we got started. I remember the first time when my dad bought 100 head of Mexican bulls, and he set them in Charlie's place. And that's when you bought Corrientes back then. They all came as bulls or heifers.
Oh, okay.
And so he bought 100 head of bulls. They sent them to Cherry Blossom, dropped them off there, and we head and heeled them, or somebody head and heeled them and cut them and branded them right there. And then we herded them to Rufus, to the arena on top of the hill.
I'll be darned.
But yeah, he was a huge inspiration in my life. I mean, he was kind of a funny guy. He worked construction, Charlie did, but he would get home at 5 o'clock at night. He'd saddle horses up and start roping and riding, and he bulldog and team roped. cow milked and all that stuff back then.
I'll be darned.
Yeah, he was quite the guy. And probably the guy that taught me, one of the guys that kind of hauled me around was a guy named Tommy Norton.
Yeah.
He hauled me around when I was about 13, 14 years old to like a lot of the amateur rodeos up here in the Northwest.
Yeah.
Kind of got me going. But I started as a header, and then I changed, I think by senior year of high school, to be a healer.
Okay.
And
well, you probably thought it was weird yesterday when we were talking on the phone that I remembered what kind of shirt you was wearing. You mentioned winning your first saddle. And,
my first saddle I ever won was at the Ellensburg Horseman's Supply there. Jerry and your dad owned the store there, and it was like King Saddlery to us, to the Northwest. It was you walk in there, if you needed whatever you needed, they had it.
Yeah.
You know what? And Jerry Anderson gave me my first endorsement.
Yeah.
When he had Roper Supply, and I bought my first card. I mean, if you look back at my career, a lot of my career started in Ellensburg because
going that direction.
Pat Miner is who I bought my card with, and in the '70s, Pat Miner and Mike Beers, you couldn't beat us.
No,
I mean, he had that gray horse, and Tommy Norton had 6 ropings, and we won all 6 ropings.
Didn't you guys win Chowchilla or something?
Oh yeah, we won Chowchilla's 1978.
Yeah.
We go down to California, and the Chowchilla Stampede at the time was the biggest. It was like the Bob
It was the
Meister.
BFI.
It was a 8-steer average, and my dad was a smoker. It was kind of a funny story. My dad's sitting in the grandstands in the short round. Pat and I we were the high call back. We're the last team. They bring back the top 20, and the team right in front of us is a guy named Leo Camarillo and Reg Camarillo.
What's their name again?
Leo Camarillo and Reg Camarillo. Probably at the time the greatest team of all time. And they rode right in front of us. And my dad, between those 20 teams, my dad smoked a whole pack of cigarettes. He would start one, put it out, start one, put it out. And Pat and I come back, and it's funny because I've won a couple things in my career right by the skin of my nose. And the Chowchilla Stampede, I won it by 0.2 of a second on 8 steers. We come back, and it's funny because you see nowadays, you see Junior, when he catches 2 feet, he falls back. I have a picture of me falling back, and my head is back where the horse's tail is, and smoke is coming off the saddle at the last year at the Chowchilla Stampede. But yeah, Pat and I won a lot, and we bought our cars together, and started in '80. Then he ended up coming back to the rodeos here, and I kind of stuck it out, and kind of found partners throughout the year. Then about the 1st April, I found D. Pickett.
That's right.
Together, and then we were together for 10 years.
Yeah.
That's who I won my world title with, was D. Pickett.
It was D.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got to share a Mike Beer story. This is a good time. You were staying up here with Pat one summer, and let me back up. I was fishing a couple weeks ago with a good friend, Doug Barnes, and he was telling about the clinic you put on at Scott's here a few weeks ago, and he was talking about a lady from here in town, in particular, Morgan Wilmart, and how excited and how she's a person in just starting roping, and how you made her feel comfortable, and she just couldn't get over it, and Doug was telling me this, and I said, well, that's how Beers has been all his life. I said, when I was junior high, maybe in high school, was the summer you were hanging out up here with Pat, and I had to practice early in the morning for whatever reason, and I asked you to come tie some calves with me. Oh yeah, and I know the rest of the guys in that apartment, Rob Black and Troy Perkins and those guys, they weren't out at 6 when we were having to tie, and you came down and tied with a little snot-nosed kid, and man, it was. I remember in the middle of our session, you pulled your boot off. You get dirt in your boot sometimes when you're tying, and you shook that dirt out, and I looked down, I said, Mike, where the hell's your socks? And this was a true rodeo story. Oh yeah. I don't know if you didn't have any clean ones, or you just were there at the time. Yeah. And so, but anyway, the moral of the story is, for both myself and I've got to say, hundreds of other people around the country, you make people feel comfortable, Mike, and that's why you've been successful with your clinics, with your career.
Yeah, you know what? I love people. I'm a people person.
You are.
And my dad was that way. And through the clinics, I got to share a lot of my knowledge. I mean, I've rodeoed for 40 years full time, and then all the time when I rodeoed, we did schools the whole time, and some of the greatest memories I have are stories of what happened at schools. Like I had a school there at Scott Reps, and Scott and Joel have been friends of mine for years, and I've done lots of schools there with different headers all the time, and they've been really good about it. And like you said, this Morgan girl that was at the school, they come to school in Moses Lake, and and it was good, but not one of my best schools. And I said, we're going to do another one in Ellensburg, and it's going to be a smaller group. And she signed up for it, and we had 10 people, and Scott and Joe was so nice. I mean, the arena is all worked up and wet down, and you don't go to a better facility, and people like that. And I learned when I do these schools, I try to do them at nice places. People like to come there, and they like to have fun. And my whole thing is enjoy it. Enjoy the schools, and as long as you have fun. I got a quick story to tell you. I got 2 new students here lately. A little girl, Baxley, she's 7 years old.
Okay.
And the little boy is Tristan. He's 8 years old. And the mom and dad both rope, and the kids have never run live steers out of the chute before. And they see it on my Facebook that I give my steers some sedations to slow them down. And so they told their mom and dad about when they wanted to come take lessons. So they showed up there one day, and the little girl, it was a 3-hour lesson. By the time they got done, the little girl had roped 7 steers and turned off, and the little boy had roped 8 steers and turned off.
You bet.
And it's just giving back to these kids, and showing them knowledge that I have that I want to share with them. And my deal is mainly safety.
Okay.
When they leave, I want them to leave with all 10
dangerous,
and the whole thing is make sure they have fun. If they have fun and they learn something, they're going to have a good time. They're going to come back. Yeah.
Well, it's working.
Yeah. And like I said, some of the funnest memories of this rodeo here for me was, like I went all around. I actually just seen it. I was looking at the program here and won it all around here in '93, and I won the steer open here. This has been one of those rodeos that's, you win those buckles from here, and you're tickled to death with them, and you remember them forever. The runs you made here, and just in this way, Ellensburg is one of those ones. It's on Memorial or Labor Day, and it's always, if you're back here Sunday, you've been successful.
Yep.
I remember being here one year, Matt Tyler and I come back in the short round and drew a great steer. And it was a funny deal. We're like 4-6 in the short round, and we end up going from like 10th all the way to like 2nd or 3rd. And when his horse, he's riding a horse called Big Daddy. And when he turned off and he faced really strong, and Matt went off the horse. And the horse, and I was riding a mare called Dance, and Big Daddy was in love with Dance. So all of a sudden Matt fell off, and all of a sudden the horse takes off running down the arena. And I just stop in the arena, and the horse just spins around and comes right back to me. And I'm thinking, hey, this is pretty cool.
It was just neat.
I mean, just some things that happen at the Ellensburg Rodeo. And this, because it's such a different arena for people. A lot of the arenas we go to are 100 feet wide and 200 feet long, and they're just square box.
Yep.
And you come to Ellensburg, and especially years ago when they first started Ellensburg, you come from underneath the grandstand.
Yeah.
You didn't see the guys come till here they come.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. But yeah, it's a neat rodeo, and it's just, the committee just does so much for the cowboys, and like the parking we have nowadays. And nowadays, back in our days when we rodeo, we had a 3/4 ton pickup and a 2-horse trailer. Now they have Freightliner trucks and Bloomer trailers that are platinum or 4-star or something. They're huge, and the committee here always has the deal where they feed the cowboys, and it's nice because a lot of the cowboys get here just in time for the slack that morning and don't have time to go grab something to eat, and they'll have coffee and donuts and stuff out there for them. So they make it really nice.
Well, and you mentioned the setting. Must have been the mid-'80s, maybe a little earlier, but there was strong consideration about, like Hermiston did, moving it to larger areas so the parking could be better and this and that.
Yeah.
Finally, smarter heads prevailed, and they said, hey, we have something here with that hill and this setting that you can't replicate.
It's just like the grandstands, how they come down from the top of the hill. I mean, you don't see that. It's like the Omac Stampede with the suicide race. Certain rodeos just stand out.
Certain things.
Yeah.
Throughout our conversation, you've mentioned some of the cowboys you've competed against here at the Ellensburg Rodeo, Mike. But who stands out?
Probably like 2 guys that really stand out in my career was a guy named Leo Camarillo.
Okay.
He wasn't unless you knew him really well, you probably didn't like him. He was they called him Leo the Lion.
Yeah.
and a guy named Tom Ferguson. I got a rodeo with Tom Ferguson kind
You
of
did?
into his career.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot. I have a lot of stories with Tom Ferguson that I learned a lot from, you know.
Yeah.
And just like guys like that kind of taught me. And then I've got to share my knowledge with snot-nosed kids like Brady Minor.
There you go.
You know, that I talk to pretty much every week right now.
Yeah.
He's kind of one of my heroes. Him and Riley are two of my heroes in the team rope world because they're the old guys.
Yeah.
Now. You know,
geez.
I was talking to Brady before the 4th of July rodeo started. And I guess he's one of my mentors now to me. I mean, he rodeoed with Brandon and I when we made the finals in 07, and that was a huge success in my world, is winning Houston, and pretty much at the time kind of catapulted us into the finals. You know, back then, I mean, I had retired from rodeo, and then my Brandon taught me into coming back in 07 and coming back, and we did okay. The winter started, then we won Houston, and we won 50,000 at Houston, and we just about had the finals made. And it's like, wow, that's cool. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, and like I said, those guys are great. I mean, they've had a summer, unbelievable summer.
Man.
You know, they started. I talked to him before the 4th of July started. They've been to 20 rodeos and had like $18,000 won. And the month of July, they won like 60 or 70,000.
I called Riley. Shortly after the 4th, I said, "Keep her rolling, buddy." And he says, "It's been a pretty good couple weeks, Nippy." I said, "Yes, it has."
Him too, don't it?
Yeah, he's couple weeks.
Both those guys, you have to talk to them. You got to pry it out of them, you know. Yeah, no, the Minor families have been great to me. You know, ever since Jerry and Janice, and then Mary and Brent, and I rodeo with Brent back in the day, a little bit, and he's one of those quiet type. He's kind of like Riley.
Yeah.
He's a quiet type. Brady's a little like Mary. We'll kind of tell you a story or two. Yeah.
Well, that's continuing. I was up at the pasta company this week at lunch, and you could tell I didn't know who they were, but there was some pro cowboys that walked in the door, and there was just a little kid with him, and his back was against me, and I kept watching him. He's going like this, then he'd go like this. And I said, "Yeah, get your hands in the air there, son." And turns around, well, it's Maverick Minor.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
And he's wandering around with Peyton Bray and DJ McLeod.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So
Yeah,
the whole deal is coming full circle.
Yeah, yeah, no, it really is. Yeah, you know what? The rodeo families are great. You know, the rep families and the minor families here, when Ellensburg Rodeo comes to town, if you want to find a pro cowboy, they're probably at one of their houses, you know, and those guys just open their doors up. Scott and Joe Rep and the miners both just, I mean, most of those big rigs are at their house right now, either practicing in the arena or doing something.
Yeah, that's what Peyton said, that we're staying at Boss Man's.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, no, they're good, so.
Well, Mike, sure been fun visiting with you. What kind of closing statement would you like to share with the people?
You know, I just want to let the people know that when they come to Ellensburg, you know, it's a family sport, and you know, we try to keep it that way, and the whole town of Ellensburg really promotes it as a family sport. And rodeos, you know, it's been that way for years. I don't think it'll ever change. I remember like when COVID hit, you know, a lot of places shut down, the rodeos kept going.
Yep.
You know, and the Ellensburg rodeos just like that. They're just like the rest of them. They're, you know, if you want to come to a good place and have a good time, the Ellensburg rodeo is a great time.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Good visiting.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, and enjoyed it, and thanks again.
Yep. Have fun tonight.
All right. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.